Well, hello everyone and welcome to race meeting number 2. It is round 3 of the championship of the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain. My name's Conry Maddock. I'm being joined by Paul Smith over the course of this evening's events. We are here just around about 30 miles north of Southampton. We're at Thruxton. Most tracks in the UK are based on old airfields. However, they're usually closed. This one isn't. This is the active airfield right in the middle of the track.
Yeah, absolutely. It's currently a private airfield, and yeah, it's a fantastic venue. One of my favourite tracks in Great Britain is this. It's fast, it's frenetic, the corners come at you all the time. It looks a simple track. It's anything but that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be completely, well, it's going to be high-octane racing, that's for sure, with very high speeds around this circuit. Of course, we had a massive amount of fun at Donington Park as our season opener to this championship. We saw overtakes left, right and centre, lots of great battling up and down the field in the Pro and Am class, but we get ourselves set into the season now here at Thruxton. It's only a short season, only 6 race meetings long, 2 races at each track, of course. Next week we're going to be heading to Silverstone, and the week after to Oulton Park, then the week after we have our finale at Brands Hatch. So it's yeah, it's going to be fast and frenetic, that's for sure. If you weren't able to join us for the broadcast at Donington Park, then here's a little bit of a recap as to how today works. We've got our lone qualifying, where the driver's going to be out there all on their own on a hot lapping session, essentially. They'll get 2 flying laps, and they'll get 10 minutes to complete those 2 flying laps. Then we'll head into race number 1, and then 30 minutes, and then we'll head into race number 2 for 30 minutes. The race 2 grid is based on the results for race 1. There's no reverse grid business going on here. Then we've got fixed setup, so everyone has pretty much identical cars for all intents and purposes on the setup, and of course we'll be having some standing starts. In the classes, well, we've got the GT3 Cup cars, the 992s in the Pro category, and in the AMs, we've got the Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport MRs. In terms of the prizes, then the top 3 drivers from each class will win a half-day driving experience at the Porsche Experience Centre at Silverstone. The Pro drivers will get their experience in the 911, and the AM drivers will get their experience in the Cayman. So they get the opportunity to drive the car that they drive in, drive a similar car to, they drive in sim, but in the real world, which would be an absolutely fantastic experience for them. Here's a little bit of a recap of the standings from the first race meeting. Is Will Eatwell on the top of the Pro class order with 47 points. That's 6 points ahead of Ryan McAuliffe in second. Then you've got George Tyler and Kieran Sharp tied for 3rd place. Now, down in the AM class, we had a fantastic double race win from Adam Greaveson with 52 points at the very top of the order. Then it's Ben Chalcraft in 2nd place, Matt Jordan in P3 with Tom Heritage P4 and Jamie Bardwell rounding out the top 5 there. So that's a little bit of a look at what the championship is like, about what the format is going to be once again if you weren't able to join us for the first race meeting. And immediately we are straight into qualifying. We've got about, well, just shy of 6 minutes left of it. We've had the first of the flying laps come through and be set. And it is Will Eatwell at the top of the Pro order, and it's actually Ben Chalcraft at the top of the AM order. So Graveson's dominance in the first meeting at Donington Park might be under threat here if this qualifying session's anything to go by.
Yeah, this is really close, tight stuff between your AM Championship contenders there, and we saw how Ben Chalcraft, new to the championship, don't forget, it was his debut last time out, 2 second places in a row. It was a tremendous effort from him to be able to do that last time out at Donington. Here's Matthew Jordan across the line here now. Hopefully he'll be carrying on for another lap here. So through Allard we go, sweeping right-hander, come round to the left here for Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave, the complex. Get it out wide, you can use the curb and then some, got to be careful with them though, not to unsettle the car too much. Through the right-hander here, which takes you onto the back section now, in towards Noble, which is a fast left-hand here. Look at that, open the corner up, use the curb on the inside. You can see how the car's moving about, and then into Goodwood. This is a tricky corner. Off camber, he's touched that curb. That's going to force him wide. Oh, now he touched the grass there. I think that might have invalidated his lap, but he's going to carry on anyway. Into the fastest corner in Britain, Church. Absolutely sensational corner through there. It's important to carry the speed out of there, over that curb, through Brooklands, and then up the hill towards the club chicane once again. Hit the brakes just before the 50-metre marker. In fact, he's hitting it on the 50-metre marker. Over the curbs, you're launching it over. If anybody from Motorsports UK is looking at these sim races using those curbs, they'll be wincing, because that would be a track limit violation in Full Metal Racing, but not here tonight.
Yes, it would be, and we just have to play by the rules that we are given. I'm getting a word from race control. Of course, we have had a couple of drivers have qualifying bans from the first event, so that's important one to consider. Harley Burton is, of course, one of them. I did see the and of course we got Ashley Toft. So Harley Burton and Ashley Toft, they got qualifying bans, so therefore they so if you're wondering why they're down at the bottom of the order not setting a time, then well, that's the reason. They did something naughty in race meeting on number 1, and therefore they're banned from qualifying for race 2.
Edward Hope had a week to forget last time out in rounds 1 and 2 at Donington Park. Here he is though, second lap of his qualifying then. The pro driver is a driver who is well adept to this Cup car, the 911 GT3 Cup car, and through Church Corner he's going to go now. So he'll be looking to try and get a good second lap time in, because he's in 10th place right now. He would want to be up the sharp end, up there with Kieran Sharp and George Tyler et al, but he's not quite had the opening lap to match that. But you look at these lap times that they're producing here, it is just going to be non-stop action. Just over a minute 10 in third place. Great lap time there from Edward.
That's more like it from Ed Hope. We certainly know what he's capable of course. You know, as we've seen his history throughout this championship, but that first race meeting was kind of one to forget a little bit for the driver of number 3, but with a lap time like that, still 4/10 of a second adrift of the pole sitter, but important track position starting on that second row for Edward Hope. In terms of other drivers down the field, well, there's not really that much opportunity at this point to improve on your times, because the lap times are so short here. Usually you get your 2 flying laps done relatively quickly. So we do have to run out the clock a little bit here with the rest of the 10 minutes that we have to run before we get ourselves our starting grid for the first race. But of course, the big topic for today, Paul, is going to be how fast this circuit is. We brought it up a couple of times already. Will that result in any overtaking opportunities being obvious, though, for your drivers?
It can be tricky at times. I mean, the favourite overtaking spot is up the hill towards the club chicane. Edward Hope's just pulling over now, up there. So that's a really sort of key overtaking spot, but it's quite a short, relatively short braking zone when you look at the brake marker boards. Into the complex, you can get a run through there. Rickard Riedel back in the 90s used to have a line where he'd go around the outside of Campbell, which would then give him the inside for Cobb, and it worked pretty much every time that he did it. So you can try different things out there. The run through Goodwood as well, if you can get a nose inside through Goodwood, you then carry that inside line all the way through to Church. So again, that puts you in an advantageous spot. So there are places to overtake around here, but you've got to put the pressure on and force the mistake out of people.
You really do. So it's going to be an intriguing one, that's for sure. Obviously at Donington Park we had a lot of opportunities, a lot of side-by-side action. We'll see if we get the same here today, or it's a little bit of a different affair. Checkered flag out in qualifying. We'll get ourselves switched over into the race session, and we'll be able to also show you the starting grid as well. Here it is then. Willie, well, we'll take pole position and the bonus points that come with it. 2 bonus points for pole position here in this series with Ryan McAuliffe in P2, Edward Hope in P3 with George Tyler P4, Kieran Sharp lines up in 5th with Dave Martin in 6th. Aidan Carter will line up 11th with Oliver Stone in 8th, Ryan Elliott in 9th with Ben Smith in 10th. Gordon Marshall will start 11th with Andrew Pike 12th. Luke Andrews in 13th, and Luca Monroe will start 14th. Lewis Benny will round out the 15-car pro starting order. Then in AM, you've got Ben Chalcraft taking pole position by just 71 thousandths of a second over Adam Greaveson. Then you've got Jonathan Ogden and David Biggerdike rounding out the 2nd row. 3rd row, Matthew Jordan and Carl Chase. Then you got Ben Sieber, Jake Andrews, Jamie Bardwell, Jacob Jenner rounding out the top 10 in AM. Then you got Matthew Park in 11th with James Vermont in P12. Further back in AM, you've got Zimlaz, you got Khan, Shell, Haynes, Toft and Byrne rounding out the top 18. And then we've got one right at the back. Roy Weller will be the final starter. So as we head to the starting grid then, drivers are waiting patiently for their timer, waiting patiently for those lights to show. It is a pretty clear day here at Thruxton. 19 degrees in terms of the air temperature, 24 degrees in terms of the track. And we're about to get ourselves racing down in towards Allard for the first time. Engine notes will rise then in the 2nd race meeting of the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain for 2025. Willie well in pole position. He goes, but Ryan McAuliffe with a wondrous start around the outside of turn number 1. Fantastic move from the 171 to bring himself ahead of the pro class as the rest of the AMs try and get themselves through the first corner. He will have to try and fend behind as well, because Edward Hope is looking to make progress as there's an instant behind, a big stack up behind.
George Tyler, you've got Kieran Sharp have gone together, and it's carnage in your arms, all trying to avoid those two. I mean, the 2 pros did the right thing, holding their brakes, and they were predictable. The problem is when you've got a huge pack like that all coming through at once, they just scatter and chaos happens.
Yeah, and that was certainly the word for it. Chaos in behind. Yeah, it's very, very tricky, especially coming through there. Cold tyres as well, and you're all of a sudden having to try and jerk the wheel to try and to avoid something unexpected. Yeah, it's a very, very challenging situation indeed. We've had a lot of drivers drop down the order. Of course, the pros that were involved in that, Kieran Sharp, George Tyler, are down the order, but the AMs have been shuffled around quite a bit as well. Adam Greaveson down into P4 from starting P2. So he's going to have his work cut out to try and get back towards the pointy end from there. In terms of the rest of the pro order though, all still stacked together in these early stages. Here's the on-board with Ben Smith on the back of the 103. That's Gordon Marshall getting very, very close, maybe too close for comfort, giving a bit of a love tap to the rear bumper on the brakes, but they all get away with it.
Yeah, they do. Just the slightest of rubs there, nothing too much, so it was absolutely fine there. But yeah, out of the complex there, you could see how you can get a run. Here we go. Here's the replay. Sharp down the inside, hits the curb. That turns Tyler around, and then it's just the arms are going to come through, and it's just absolute pandemonium. Yeah. Cars flying around. Oh, yeah, you said it. Absolutely spot on. Cold tyres was a big act in that. In fact, there were cars making contact before it all.
Yeah, that instant there was really, I mean, they might have seen it ahead and they put them off their game a little bit, but not directly related to the incident that happened in the pro order. The pro drivers, again, you know, obviously there was an instant, yes, but after that, they did exactly what they needed to do. They were holding position, they were not making themselves a moving target, and so they won't get penalised for any dodgy rejoins. It was 2 cars in the barrier further up the field. It's George Tyler and Kieran Sharp again.
Oh, and I think that's ended their race because you don't have a small accident at the club chicane. Yeah, Sharp's suspension is done. He's out of the race there. And that was right in the middle of all the AMs. So that will have mixed things up and put some bigger gaps there in your AM class as well. Here we go. Oh, it's one car turning across the other into the club chicane when they've got an overlap there. Yeah, that was always going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it was the same pair that had the incident coming through the first sector on the first lap, and then they found each other again as they were trying to work their way through the Anfield. So yeah, they'll be scoring 0 points from this first race. They will still be able to join in for the second race, though. They'll just have to take about 26 minutes and 24 seconds and change to think about what the situation was that led up to that. But in terms of the AM order, we're looking at a bunch of the AMs right now. This is Ben Sieber and a couple of others. You got Matthew Clark involved in this, Gabriel Yilmaz, Jacob Jenner, also all involved in this train as well. So despite all of the issues that the AM class has faced with pro drivers having incidents and things like that, they've kind of still kept each other honest and close together.
There's quite a few drivers though picking up a slow down penalty through that chicane, the club chicane at the end of the lap. It's so easily done because the second and third curbs in that chicane are very flat. They've been built that way for the motorbikes. Roy Weller's gone flying off there. That's on the exit of Noble into the tyre stack there, and that's his day done in this first race. But yeah, they've got quite flat curbs through the second and third part of the club chicane. That was very wide. A change of position. Clark up ahead of Ben Sieber. And so it's very easy to cut across the curb. I'll get to my point in the end there, Connor, as we get there.
The drivers were determined to interrupt your very eloquent point, as but the action does take precedence here.
Oh!
Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge, mega save from Gabriel Yilmaz there. Wow, well held. Loses a couple of positions, yes, but you'd rather keep yourself in a race like that than. But wow.
I want an onboard. I want an onboard replay of that because that was all of the steering lock right there. Oh, and the car behind tags the back of it, unsettled it, and Jonathan Ogden is around. Jonathan Ogden last week was another one who did not have a good week, that is for sure. But yeah, what a save. Gabriel Yilmaz, take about, here we go, here's the onboard. This is into Church. You don't have a small accident at Church, but look at that. Well held. Incredible.
Incredible. As here's the incident with Jonathan Ogden. Again, car getting on cell, coming out the corner, swaps ends. Comes back onto the circuit in a clear space. It seems like AMs are giving us all the action here at the moment. It seems at least that seems to be the case. I'm seeing the order in the pro category being a little more spread out than perhaps we saw at Donington Park, as James Fremont goes very, very wide indeed, and will end up losing a position in that situation to David Haynes.
Yeah, nice change of position there. Car in front running very wide through Church. Now the leaders in the next, I would say, 4 or 5 laps will catch up to the back of the AM class, and Will Eatwell is trying his best to keep on to the tail of Ryan Mikulev. Now Ryan, as you mentioned, unbelievable launch from the start of this race. Got the jump over Will, who started on pole position, but Will Eatwell, fastest lap. Him and Ryan have been swapping fastest laps all the way through this race. I've been noticing it on our timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. And look at how much Will Eatwell cuts across the chicane there.
Yeah, he's trying to leverage the iRacing track limits at least as much as possible. Of course, in the real world, it may be a different issue coming through there, but you have to play with the rules that you've been given. So Ewell continuing on a little bit further down. This is 12th and 12th and 11th, excuse me, in the pro category. This is on board with Ben Smith, with Gordon Marshall. These two have been stuck together like glue since the very drop of the green flag, and they continue to harass each other just that little bit. But yeah, the track limits is interesting. The other topic, of course, as well, is the fact that, well, traffic may be a big factor in this race. It's a 1 minute 10 lap time for the Cup cars. It's a 1 minute 15, 1 minute 16 lap time for the AMs. So that's a big delta between the two of them, especially when you consider the length of the lap. So past a certain point, there'll be constant traffic for these Cup drivers for sure.
Yeah, there will be. And I want to give a quick mention. There's Oliver Stone's moving ahead of Ryan Elliott, who's moving ahead of Oliver Stone. They're switching places into the club chicane. I want to give a quick mention. Ben Chalcraft doing a sterling job at the top of AM right now. He has got 3.5 seconds between him and David Biggerdike, so they're all able to stay ahead of Adam Greaveson. Adam's not been able to work his way through the top of the AM category, so Ben Chalcraft wanting to get his first win in this series in AM. Yeah,
it was a bit of a sort of try to avoid everything on the start for the AM category on the opening lap because of the issue with the pro drivers, and you can see some of the pros heading their way through now. It's then triggering battles further behind in the AM category. So we're on board with the rear view from David Haynes. But it is Carl Chase and Gabriel Yimlaz behind that are scrapping it out through the final chicane. And Yimlaz taking a lot of curb on that exit there, doesn't quite get the speed off that he was expecting. Meanwhile, battle further up in the AM category. This is Ben Sieber and Matthew Clark having a bit of a battle. Harley Byrne also looking to try and get himself involved as well. The move covered off there by Ben Sieber. Wow.
This is close, but I've just noticed it's got really close between these two. Your race leaders, Will Eatwell has closed right up to the back of Ryan Michaleffer. Whoa, what's that GT4 doing? Oh, Will Eatwell got out of it. That's cost him. No, but that's cost him half a second there because he suddenly's had to get out of the corner, back out of it when that GT4 car was right there. My goodness, what was that all about?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, as Michaleffer dealing with another piece of lap traffic there, getting himself through relatively okay, not losing too much time to Will Eatwell. So yeah, it's the traffic's going to be very difficult here in this race. There's, it's not the widest the circuit's ever, really. Yes, there's big long straights that the Cup cars can get through on, but if you catch it at the wrong time in a corner, it's going to be a really big issue. Meanwhile, we've got battle in Pro. So this is Ned Wurton down in P9. This is Andrew Pike in P8 just ahead. Look at the overspeed that Wurton has. Looks down the inside door, left open, and he slides it all the way around into the chicane, back onto circuit, well avoided by everyone behind. Somehow that remains a single car incident. I don't even know how.
David Martin will have to serve a slowdown penalty for cutting across the chicane there, but to be honest, he had nowhere else to go. Great avoiding skills from Martin and from Gordon Marshall there, but yeah, that was what we call in the business suboptimal there. It was a good attempt at the overtake, but he just carried that a little bit too much speed into the first part of the club chicane, and around it went.
Yeah, exactly. It's and still, in the grand scheme, Ed didn't. He didn't lose too much time as a result of that. Surprisingly, as there's Dave Martin, just wrenches the wheel to the right, takes the slowdown penalty on the chin, but well avoided as an incident. Oh, as Ned had another incident. Looks like there's a bit of smoke and all on his lonesome again.
He's done a 360. I do believe so. He's been around, and yeah, it's gone from bad to worse. And the problem is, you put a big load of heat through the tyres, and they just give up the grip. And yeah, it's then exacerbated by having enough spin. So you've got to back off the speed, which around here is not easily done, and you've just got to bring those tyre temperatures back down into that working range again, or else you're just going to carry on doing that and make things worse.
You will. It's a tricky situation, right? Because you overheat the tires want to slide more, which is the opposite of what you want to be doing in that situation. It's a vicious cycle. Pro drivers dealing with some of the AM traffic once again. Oliver Stone involved in a bit of a close situation with Luke Andrews here as well. Look, they're just struggling to get by on the AMs here, trying to follow through in each other's tire tracks. They are successful in doing so without too many issues, but this will be constant drips and drabs now from this point all the way until the end of the race as everyone gets themselves spread out.
I think Will Eatwell has really fallen foul of the lap traffic again. It was last week that was his Achilles heel, as we're on board with Oliver Stone and this battle for 5th place in class and in pro. But yeah, Will Eatwell, it's gone up to about just short of 1.8 seconds between himself and the race leader, so it's not working out for him. Edward Hope, again, he's dropped off the back of both of the leaders, and Stone's under some intense pressure from behind. That's Luke Andrews right on his tail.
Andrews in the 59, looking to make progress here. Does he find an opening on the inside there? Yes, he does, but it's a long, winding right-hander here. The AM splitting them to, well, them splitting around the AM through the middle there, but they get themselves to the inside of the next grouping. That's probably the best place to be for these Cup cars through that particular section. But yeah, 3 wide, I guess, is going to be more common at this point as the pros deal with the occasional AM cars.
Yeah, it's just now a constant stream of cars for them. The 2 race leaders have actually got into a bit of a gap where we had the field split up in AM, so they can focus forward again, and Will Eatwell can maybe focus on his speed. We're not even at the halfway point of this race, Connery. That's the incredible thing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still so much more to come, and guess what? We have another race after this one as well. Battle for P2 in AM class, though. It's David Biggerdike, Matthew Jordan, Adam Greaveson, all together, all stacked up. Jordan looking for the inside on Biggerdike. Biggerdike is going to commit to the normal line on the outside there and get himself sweeping in through these fast corners, but the slipstream is a big pull, and if Jordan can sit within that and launch
and the leader
draw himself alongside at the right time. Here comes the race leader, though, disrupting the group. 3 wide coming through there as so it's always a sketchy situation.
And Will Eatwell once again loses out because he caught up to them right at the club chicane. There goes Will Eatwell now down the inside. Oh, this is a late move. Greaveson's moved up 1 place. Jordan trying to get the place back, but no, not to be for the time being. So Greaveson up into the podium spots now.
Absolutely, it's he's having to work for it this time around. In the first 2 races of the season at Donington Park, it seemed like a rather comfortable affair for Greaveson. Not so here at Thruxton. He's having to work for it. David Biggerdike, of course, is a juicy target for the final 14 minutes, but I think this group is too far adrift of Ben Chalcraft to really do anything about him unless there's some outside factor. But yeah, it's great to see Greaveson picking up these places, showing that it isn't just a matter of qualifying at the front and running away with it. You can still make passes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You can, and yeah, we're seeing those overtakes happening around here. So I said that there are places and opportunities to make overtakes around here, and we're getting a great demonstration of that, not just an inter-class overtake, but also within class as well. So speaking of inter-class, Ashley Toft trying to work his way forward in AM, alongside the 23 down the inside and past Harley Byrne, who both of them, of course, running from the back of the grid, so they've been working their way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So the qualifying bans, of course, mean you have to start right at the back and do attempt a last to first challenge, essentially. But yeah, good to see that they're getting on well despite the penalties. Here's David on board with David Hames, who's on the back of Harley Byrne at the moment, and well, opportunity potentially in a not too distant future, especially if he remains that close. But Harley Burns is also focused on the car ahead, as well as here comes one of the that's
Ned Worton.
Yeah, I knew it was Ned something. I just didn't quite clock the last name, the bright red 911 Cup car, but he gets through just fine.
Yeah, he does, and he almost made contact though, to be fair, through Noble. It was quite close. I was waiting for a thump, but thankfully everybody stays on track. Well, maybe not everyone. Look at the car there at the back of shot, just going off into the grass. It's very easily done there through Church. It's, oh my goodness, 3 wide, and that is an opportunity you do not miss out on.
Yeah, David Haynes down the inside of Ashley Toft in quite commanding fashion, coming through the club chicane there. Fantastic move indeed, and door left wide open, to be honest, as well. Yet more lap traffic for these pro drivers to deal with, however, as we'll get the view on top, we'll get the view on bottom. Carl Chase, Harley Byrne having a bit of a battle there on top as well. The gap for the race lead in pro is coming back down again, so it seems like Will Eatwell does definitely have the pace here to be able to challenge McAuliffe. It's just the traffic really hasn't been going his way.
I mean, Will Eatwell's fastest lap is a 1 minute 9.8, as actually the race leader McAuliffe gets a slow down penalty through the final chicane. That'll bring that close together, and all of a sudden Will Eatwell, he can smell blood in the water.
Here we go. Around the outside, looking for the cutback coming off the corner here, potentially. Here's the onboard with Will Eatwell as they negotiate their way through this first sector up over the curb. McAuliffe obviously trying to serve that slow down penalty, all while all this is happening, but he's trying to serve it without giving up the race lead to Ryan McAuliffe as they angle themselves into the long winding right-hander at Goodwood, and still no opportunity for Will Eatwell to get this one done. I'll have to ask you about the status of the penalty, Paul. Is it?
Oh, it's served. Yeah, it's served. He's done it. Yeah, wow. He did it just into the complex at Campbell Cobb and Seagrave. But these two, this is the closest they've been for quite a while, and it's 10 minutes. It's a long time to hold back your rival, and Ryan feeling the need to go defensive into the club chicane. That compromises him. Will Eatwell can get a great run if he can, but no, he can't. He gets loose.
I guess, well, we've got traffic in behind. It's not traffic for position. It's a pro driver anyway. I think it's George Tyler if it's the number 17. Can't quite see from here, but yeah, it's not a 3-car fight for the race lead, although I would have hoped for that. But either way, what's the plan from Tyler here?
Oh, but David Haynes, something's happened to David. That's a loss of control into the chicane. Around he goes, and yeah, trying to find a slot to get it back into. But that mistake at the chicane for Will Eatwell has cost him half a second, a good half a second. Oh, as we get another spinner there. That's the number 9 of Jacob Jenner.
Yeah. Flash of the lights. Oh! Sorry, I just saw the 129 Jake Andrews just come flying through the club chicane. I was so scared he was going to carry so much speed that he'd track out directly into the car rejoining, but thankfully that wasn't the case, but a little bit of a tense moment.
Yeah, if you're that car coming through, you're there going, not now, please, don't return now. But we're running out of time now for Will Eatwell. He's had opportunities handed to him by the race leader. He's not been able to take advantage of them. He knows he's got the pace over the race leader. It's just a case of he needs to take advantage of that pace, force a mistake out of Ryan McAuliffe, and then pounce, take it, because he's not been doing that so far.
Even as with getting the back end out, and with the half spin as well. We didn't see the rejoin though. I would like to judge that, but we return back to the live pictures with Jonathan Ogden here down in P9. Ashley Toft behind him, Harley Byrne behind him. So That's the situation there down in Am. Chelcraft has had a comfortable time in the race lead of that particular category. Here's another issue for, or the same issue, excuse me, for Yilmaz. Does he cause an issue when he rejoins the circuit? We'll see. Not the best.
That's not the best. It's not the worst, but it's not the best either.
We're ambivalent about that rejoin.
I've seen a lot worse, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's thankfully it's a wide circuit and the racing line's on the other side of the circuit, so it's kind of like, okay, it's understandable. But race lead gap coming back down.
It certainly is. Last lap, just over a tenth quicker was Will Eat Well, so that gap has come down a little bit. The slipstream, you'd think around this track that the slipstream would have a massive effect. It doesn't really. It doesn't really have that much of an effect around here. So you've got to really just get underneath the boot lid of the car in front. Of course, rear-engine cars, these cars, and yeah, really put the pressure on that car in front. But your race leader, Ryan McAuliffe, after taking the lead at the very start, doing a good job to hold on to it and keeping the pressure at bay.
There's another gaggle of AM drivers ahead, though, and history suggests that McAuliffe is able to deal with this traffic a lot better, or at least gets a bit luckier as far as the positioning of the traffic goes. We'll see if that's the case again here. 6 minutes left to go. Ryan McAuliffe getting towards the inside of the first one. Ewell will be able to follow him in behind as well. Let's see what happens to the second. There's a group of 3 AM cars here. McAuliffe, ooh, he's going to get compromised. Finally, the traffic might be going the way of Will Ewell in this occasion. Does not give Ryan an inch to breathe as they dart in and out of the traffic. Both of them do well, but Will Ewell does a little bit better. Can't quite capitalize on it just yet as they fly their way through Church Corner and maybe set up for a move down into the next heavy braking zone. What does Ewell decide to do? This is his best opportunity in a very long time. Takes that big wide arc through, seeing if McAuliffe gets a compromised line through. Now Ewell needs to get the power down off the corner. He struggled to in his last opportunity. He does a bit better this time around, but again, this is looking spicy between these two now. This last 5 minutes are going to be fun.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely sensational between these two. We saw how they battled at Donington Park and gave us a great show last time out. Remember, 1 race win apiece for them. It was Eatwell who won the first race last time out, McAuliffe the second race last time out. So are we on for Ryan to get a first race win of the season in race number 1 of the evening, or is it going to be Will Eatwell doing it again? We've got more lap traffic. That traffic is just trying to get out of dodge there. And that previous group, that previous gaggle, they were all fighting for position. They don't want to lose the time against each other. So that's where it gets a bit tricky for these pro drivers. Again, more traffic coming up ahead. They've got a good 3-car gaggle up ahead, and there's a car stopped at the chicane.
Here they go, they're going to get up and negotiate this now. Through the apexes they come, the race leaders. The car off to the side of the circuit, thankfully holding the brakes and not affecting this battle. Both drivers get to the inside of one more as they head their way through Allard Corner. And again, the traffic is pretty constant here now, but for these two drivers, they have to try to pick their way through. They have to treat it like a multi-class endurance race in some ways with the slower traffic here. Yes, it isn't as big of a difference between these cars as, say, a prototype and a GT3, but that's kind of how you have to treat it sometimes. So McAuliffe getting a little bit confused up behind the 11 here. Well, is this a good decision to go down to the inside? I'm not sure it was. He still maintains the overlap on Ryan, though.
Oh my goodness, I was getting visions of Schumacher and Hakkinen up Spa with Ricardo Zonta being the innocent party and all of that. This is sensational between these two, working their way through. They've got battling cars ahead of them. They're going too wide in front. Ryan McAuliffe will be looking at this going, oh, please don't. Please don't. I want a nice clean run through here, thank you very much. Oh, and he's going to get held up at the worst point.
He is. Can he will get the power down to try and capitalize on this coming off the corner. He's got a much better opportunity this time around. The traffic still exists coming through Allard's as well. Is there an opportunity to draw himself alongside? Still no. At this moment in time, Mikulev is holding on with a great defensive drive. He just has to do it for another 2.5 minutes here. Eatwell has the pace. I would say Eatwell has the advantage. But Mikulev, if he holds on to this will be a fantastic defensive drive.
Yeah, this is sensational stuff. Great action, great respect between the two of them. Well, just get a nose in there. You've got to be careful doing that because it's so easy to just tag the car in front. And with the speeds that these cars carry, the forces that are going through them, they're loaded up. When they're going through these high-speed corners, they're loaded up, and it just takes the slightest of rubs, and it unsettles the car in front. Yep, getting out of dodge there is Ben Sieber, and why doesn't he? Here we go. Eatwell once again.
Big run coming into the next right. 1 minute 46 left on the clock. Slowing down for these apexes and the club corner. Coming out of that now. This will be 2 laps to go for these guys as Ewell again just hunting and searching, but nothing, you know, he's trying to bite at it, but nothing's really coming off it at the moment. Another opportunity coming through the first sector here, trying to get the outside in towards Campbell, absolutely level into there. Again, can't quite maintain the overlap.
He needed to hold it side by side through Cobb to be able to get the advantage, did Will. But his car, it just seems to be behaving better. It seems to be just coming through these corners and these curbs a lot better. You might think, well, that's down to a setup. It's not. It's a fixed setup series. All the cars are the same. So Will Eatwell is doing something with this car that Ryan Mikulev just can't quite get out of it.
Indeed. Through church for the penultimate time. How do you manufacture a situation here if you're Will Eatwell? Mikulev has shut every single door, been fast in all of the right places. Again, with the alternate line coming through the club chicane, but he just can't quite time it right. Yes, he is following closely, coming off the corner, across the line with 1 more lap to go through Allard for the final time here. Is there an opportunity for Eatwell up in towards Campbell once again? He tried it 1 lap ago. He will try it again now. They get a little bit closer on the entry to the corner. Mikulev has to be perfect through here. Eatwell with the better line, maybe with the better exit coming up as we see further in behind as more battles going on. This is going to be crazy.
This is sensational stuff, and well, you're not going away from this broadcast. It's edge of your seat stuff. Is this fantastic between these two now? Will Eatwell has got just 1 more opportunity now, and that's up to the chicane. Jamie Bardwell has had issues out there. He's in the wall. He's going to carry on, but here we go. Here's the chance for Will Eatwell.
This is going to be the last effort here in this first race. He's not quite as close as he was previously. He will still attempt to go for it regardless. Mikulev missing the first apex. Mikulev has missed the first apex. Can Will Eatwell get the entry or the exit out of the corner? No, he can't as they drive to the line. Ryan Mikulev holds on to a P1 in the first race here at Thruxton. Well-deserved win there from Mikulev under an immense amount of pressure. Wow, that was insane.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. Gordon Marshall has had issues out here. Oh, side-to-side contact and finds the wall. They've actually moved that wall away through there, and he's still managed to find it. But absolutely sensational stuff from our pro leaders. We've forgotten about the AMs. I mean, it was just so unbelievable. But Ben Chalcraft, what a drive. A bit of time to David Biggerdike, but it's still enough to hold on to an AM win.
It is. They stole the show in the first half of the race. The second half, well, that was more Pro City as Ben Chalcraft heads his way out of the final corner and takes the race win here in AM in a action-packed first race at Thruxton. My words, we have to take a breather, but we'll be back at it in a couple of moments' time. We'll have another 30-minute race after this is all said and done. Here are the unofficial race results, obviously pending stewards review. The stewards do their thing after the event has been concluded, but it was 1.5 tenths of a second between McAuliffe and Eatwell in that last moment. Wow. Edward Hope with a very good P3, actually, kind of kind of someone that faded into the background a little bit in that race, but a competent finish and definitely a better start to a race weekend or rather race meeting than it was at Donington Park. Then we got Aidan Carter P4, Bride Elliott P5, Luke Andrews P7, Andrew Pike, Luke Andrews P6, Pike P7, Stone P8, Smith in 9th, and Martin in 10th. These are the. This is also going to be the order they're going to line up for the second race in. So that's important to know. Got Gordon Marshall P11, Luca Monroe P12, Wharton P13, Benny P14, Tyler 15th, and Sharpin 16th. Then in AM, you got Ben Chalcraft winning by 3 seconds over David Biggerdyke. Then it's Adam Grieveson, your double race winner from Donington Park, having to sell for a third step on the podium for this first race. Then you got Matthew Jordan in P4, Ben Sieber P5, Carl Chase in P6 with Matthew Clark in 7th, Jonathan Ogden P8 with Ashley Toft and Harley Byrne rounding out the top 10 in the AM category. Then David Haynes in P11 with Jake Andrews in P12, James Fremont in P13 with Jamie Bardwell in 14th, Jacob Jenner 15th with Andy Shell in 16th, Shiraz Khan, Gabriel Yimlaz and Roy Weller rounding out the 19 car order for AM. Well, there we go. That slow-mo sort of indicative of the entire sort of second half, a third, I suppose, of the race there. Lots of opportunities for Eatwell to get through, but none of them very obvious, none of them executed, and it was McKellar's defense that was really shining throughout despite the clear air pace difference.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. Absolutely sensational. We have actually got a few drivers who want to speak to us, so why don't we speak to our race winner from the round number 3 of the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain, Ryan McAuliffe. Welcome to the commentary booth, and let's wind back. I know you're probably full of adrenaline right now, but let's wind back. Start of the race. What an unbelievable launch you got off the line to take the lead at the very beginning.
Yeah, it was a good launch. Obviously, in quali, my first lap wasn't very good. So for the second one, I thought I'm not going to take any chances, especially with the slowdown at the final corner. So I slowed it down a bit too much at the final corner. I took it nice and easy. Obviously, came second in quali. But then on the start, yeah, I've always normally been quite decent at start, so I knew I could have got him on the start. Once I got him on the start, everything was all right from there. My tyres started to drop off quite quick, to be fair, though. And then the traffic was crazy. But other than that, I had to defend from him on the last few laps because I was slow. So that's about it for my race.
Well, I mean, one of the things it was obviously traffic, because you had a lot of battling GT4s out there that were all involved in their own fights, as well as yourself for the race lead. But also slowdown penalties. Just tell the audience at home just how brutal it is to get a slowdown penalty at that final chicane at Club.
Mate, it's unbelievable. Literally, to be fast through there, you have to go past the curbs. But if you go more than a quarter of a tyre past the curb, you get a slowdown, 1.5 seconds. I got one in the race, and that's what made him catch me back up. But mate, honestly, you have to be so precise, and during that race I weren't taking any chances at all, so I just kept it nice and clean.
And you've got it all to do again, Ryan, so we'll let you go away and take a breath, but congratulations on a sensational race win.
Lovely, cheers boys.
That was our race winner, Ryan McAuliffe, and we'll have a word with second placed Will Eatwell. Will, you did almost except throw the kitchen sink at him. Just talk us through that one, because that was, from our point of view, sensational to watch. I think you might be a little bit frustrated there.
Yeah, I lost it at the start. The bike point, I guess I had it set slightly too low, with the variance that there is now, it's decided that it was too low. So luckily it wasn't too bad. I was able to hold on to P2, but no, yeah, crazy battle with Ryan. That was quite fun. But yeah, just couldn't get by him.
You seem to have the run through the club chicane absolutely spot on each and every lap, and you were able to gain time through there compared to Ryan. It just always seemed to be just the timing wasn't quite there to get the run out of the chicane, was it? You just seemed to catch up to the back of him at the wrong point.
Yeah, I identified that the chicane was going to be pretty crucial this week, so I made sure to practice that super hard, and thanks to the PESC series coming here earlier this year, I managed to try and work out what line they took, which really helped. But yeah, Ryan placed his car quite well on the exit, so it really stopped any run that I could get through the chicane onto him.
Well, we will wish you all the best for race number 2, and hopefully you can get that launch spot on and keep that battle going for the rest of this second race.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you.
So we go. Second place, Willie Well joining us there. I was going to grab Edward Hope, but unfortunately he's not available. So we'll go on to Am, because Ben Chalcraft, congratulations, Ben. You've got yourself 2 podiums in your debut week, and now a debut win. What a season. What a start to the season you've had here.
Yeah, fantastic. All I could have hoped for, really. And I guess now I can retire.
We've got a few weeks to go yet here, Ben, but I mean, talk to us about that, because you guys came through and you just suddenly had 2 cars broadside across the track through the complex right at the start. I mean, talk us through that start, because it looked crazy. Yeah,
the first lap on these this new tyre model is scary enough without obstacles being thrown in the way. So yeah, just came into the complex in this car sideways and jink one way, hope that nobody behind you is going for the same gap that you're going for. And luckily for me, it turned out okay this race. Try and survive again in the second.
Absolutely. You got enough a race to go at. 2 wins in a row, really, to seal it off?
I mean, that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. David was gaining a little bit towards the end. I was maybe playing it a bit too safe, and there was a couple of overtaking Porsche Cups that scared me a little bit. But just try and look forward next race and deal with the traffic as it comes.
Congratulations, sir, on your race win here in the race number 1.
Thanks very much.
That was our AM race winner. Second place in AM was David Biggerdike. And David, welcome to the commentary box. First time this season, and well done on the second place today.
No, thanks. Make amends for last week. So,
yeah, well, the word that we like to use is suboptimal for last week. But talk to us about this race, because as I said to Ben there, having to work your way past some damage-strewn Porsche Cup cars on lap number 1 on cold tyres is not the easiest thing to do in these cars, is it?
No, I think the racing gods were smiling on me there, because I put the car on the inside of T2 and the accident was on the outside, so I managed to avoid that, kind of get in front of Adam, and then Ben just seemed to drive away with it. I was catching him towards the end. I don't know if he cut the tyres, but yeah, he just had the pace for the majority of the race.
And race number 2 then, how are you feeling going into that one? More of the same, maybe challenge for the lead?
Yeah, I think I'll have to do it early if Ben's got that pace again. Try and get an early lead and defend. It seemed like kind of podium's definitely doable with the pace I've got again. So just hope to stay clean.
Well, congratulations on the podium in race 1. Have a good run in race number 2.
Thank you.
And we'll get to very quickly, hopefully get to speak to Edward Hope, who finished 3rd place in Pro. Edward, I think it was a case of forgetting what happened last week and restart this week, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. Blank sheet of paper. Forget it ever happened, I think. Yeah, great to make it through the first lap without falling off. That's objective number 1. And then I spotted that Will was pretty gentle on his tyres first couple of laps. I think he probably had the pace to get Ryan, but he was pretty gentle first couple of laps. So I'm going to steal that for the second race, because they drop off towards the end of a race, and I did from those 2. They drove off into the distance, really.
Now, with this being a rear-engined car, is it mainly the rear left that gets all the hammering, or does the front left get some as well?
You got to be really careful of the rear left. Yeah, really careful. And it could catch you out if you slide a little bit through a couple of corners. It's kind of game over for a couple of laps. You've got to really cool it down. And with this being a clockwise track, rear left is, yeah, as you say, is taking quite a bit of a beating. But then the fronts as well, I think, because there's quite a lot of hard stops and sharp corners. So yeah, lots to think about. But I'm gonna try and stay with them better next race. The traffic got in the way a bit, which is arguably more exciting than the race that I had was dealing with the traffic. But yeah, I'm going to try and stay close as possible to them and catch some scraps.
Well, third place is still a third place. Congratulations and all the best for race number 2.
Thanks very much.
There we go, Connery. Getting to speak to podium sitters across both classes. Always good to hear from our drivers between races. I wish more drivers would do that in more series, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity to get that insight that we may miss from some other situations, right? It's we can talk as much as we want to from our point of view, from the commentary box and from what we see with our own eyes. But it's sometimes very different when it's underneath the helmet and on track. So yeah, that's I do thank the drivers for coming in and giving us that additional clue as to what it's like out there, because we conjecture and we guess, but we get the confirmation then from the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing better than getting confirmation of the fact that we do know what we're talking about, because most of the time we get accused of not knowing a thing, and there you go. But well, race number 2, though, this is going to be interesting now because it's roles reversed, isn't it, between McAuliffe and Eatwell. Ryan says he's confident off of the line here. Will's got a determination to get that launch. Be interested to see how that goes. And Am, I mean, don't write off Adam Greaveson maybe making some moves throughout this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously that Will Eatwell and McAuliffe situation really sort of dominated the final part of that race, but the story down in Am is particularly interesting as well, because last race we saw Greaveson just sort of run away with both race wins, but it's sort of been shaken up a lot more in that Am crash. Of course, some of that was down to the avoidance that a lot of them had to do on the race start with that the pro incident that happened in front of them. But we'll be feeling the effects of that now in this race as well, as the field is sort of still shaken up a little bit from that, because we have our grid for race 2 based on the results of race 1. So it does continue.
Yeah, we've got drivers in both classes a bit out of position, haven't we? We've got Kieran Sharp and the other driver, George Tyler. The pro class, they were towards the back of pro because of that incident on lap 1, and then later on down at the club chicane as well. So they're going to be working or trying to work their way through the field. You got the AMs getting that mix up because of what happened on lap 1 and throughout the race. So we've got an intriguing race number 2 here.
Yes.
I think one thing that the drivers will be happy about is there's no chance of any rain today.
Yes, the weather is around. It's enabled in the sessions. However, we have not yet seen the weather play a huge part in the races so far. You would have thought so. For I'm not sure what do they set the in-sim date to, because obviously if it's end of September, then we'd be more likely for some showers and some rain. But
well, it's the 1st of April in sim, so you would imagine some April showers.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because if you don't know, in iRacing, the seasons actually does matter. So in the sort of times where it would be gloom and rainy here, which is pretty much all year, it will be. But obviously in the summer, it would be hotter temperatures and things like that. So it's so that is all modeled. So actually in sim date that the race is happening in the game does matter. So there we go.
Yeah. Yep, certainly does. Don't tell that to Yorkshire Water, by the way, because we had a very dry summer this year. So to be fair, it's one of those things. I love how this weather has been implemented in iRacing. I love how it can really mix things up. In the Rafa Racing Club Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain this year, when we were at Snetterton, the first race of that day, the last 3 laps were just carnage because of the rain suddenly appeared, and everyone was determined to stay on slick tyres. So yeah, it was a really fun day, and it can really mix things up. But today, the drivers, they don't need to worry about that.
They really don't. And actually, the track temperature for this race is going to be a little bit higher than what we saw in the previous. We had 23 on the track in the last race. Now we have 26. And the cloud cover has gotten even more clear as well. So it's slightly different conditions to what we had in the first race. Not massively different, where it requires a completely different approach, but it's something to consider, that's for sure. But the drivers currently just getting their warm-up laps in, and then we'll do a very quick gridding procedure, and then we'll get ourselves started for race number 2. We'll do the thing that we did last event. If you're joining us in the Porsche Twitch chat or in the RaceSpotTV YouTube, feel free to say where you're watching from. It's always good to see the wide array of locations where our viewers come from, and it's you know, showing that this sport, even though it's a UK-based series, still can be international. But yeah, it's always great to see those, Paul.
Yeah, it is certainly great to see, but yeah, it's proven time and again that these Porsche Esports series, they're not just purely based. You're not getting viewership just purely based from the host nation, so Great Britain in our case here. But you've got various different Porsche Esports Sprint Challengers, Carrera Cups, you've got the Super Cup, of course, and people really do have that attachment to Porsche racing here in the virtual world, and the investment and the time that Porsche have put into it, not just Porsche as a whole but the local regions as well, I think has really paid off and has been a great boon for the world of sim racing.
Speaking of local, Jordan Gamer GT in the YouTube chat says I'm 10 minutes away from Thruxton. So local track there for Jordan, and same for Glyn in our YouTube chat as well. So a couple of locals to this circuit. Absolutely fantastic to see. We've got an active airfield right in the middle of it where light aircraft do come and go. But we've got the starting grids then for the pro category. It is Ryan McAuliffe, Will Eatwell on the front row with Ed Hope and Aidan Carter on the seconds. Then we've got P5 and 6 going to Ryan Elliott and Luke Andrews. These are just the results from race number 1. Andrew Pike in P7 with Oliver Stone P8. Then we've got Ben Smith and Dave Martin rounding out the top 10. Gordon Marshall and Luke Monroe will line up 11th and 12th. Ned Worton starts in 13th, Lewis Benny 14th, George Tyler 15th, and Kieran Sharp in 16th. Then you've got the M category, so Ben Shalcraft will be pole position here with David Biggerdike in second. Then you've got Adam Greaveson starting in third with Matthew Jordan in fourth. Then you got Ben Sieber and Carl Chase rounding out the top 6 starters. Now back in 7th place, we've got Matthew Clark with 8th going to Jonathan Ogden. Ashley Toft will start in 9th with Hardy Byrne in 10th. David Haynes starts 11th with Jake Andrews in 12th. James Fremont in P13 with Jamie Bardwell in P14. Jacob Jenner 15th with Shiraz Khan in P16. Gabriel Yilmaz and Roy Weller round out the 18-car AM field. We are going to get, well, most of the drivers have already gotten themselves to the starting grid. Thank you very much for Race Control for giving us a little bit of extra gridding time just to go through the grid in completeness for race number 2. So you know exactly where everyone's starting. Ryan McAuliffe pole position here in the second race. McAuliffe, well, he started in second in the previous one, but he got an almighty launch to then lead through the first sector. That's what you got to keep in mind if you're on the front of this field. Eatwell probably looking to replicate what McAuliffe did in that first race to get the early advantage. And everyone else waiting for those lights to show We're about to go racing once again here at Thruxton in the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge, Great Britain. We are underway for race number 2. McAuliffe immediately across to cover off any sort of move from Will Eatwell in towards the first turn here. The Pro Catch getting away very, very well indeed. Smith and Marshall fighting further back through the field in these early stages into the first braking zone. Now, is there any drama? Yes, there is drama in the back. I think it was, Luca Monroe. Yeah, it's Luca Monroe out in towards the grass. Am getting themselves a pretty good start as well, although it's ruined as there's a driver dropping down the order. That's Biggerdike. Biggerdike having active issues, and Graveson too.
Oh, huge in your Am. Absolutely huge stuff in Am. So that's 2 of our big contenders then. Biggerdike and Graveson both around then at the start. Cold tyres, don't forget, on these GT4s are a bit more brutal than they used to be. Harley Burns gone off into the grass. We've got 2-3 wide action further down in Am. My goodness, we've had a action-packed start to this one.
Yes, we are. We're on board with David Haynes. It's the 11 of Jonathan Ogden directly ahead. But look at this, 2 by 2 by 2 as they head their way through the middle sector here. My word, lots of opportunities, lots of moves being made up and down the field as they get themselves in towards the club chicane and, well, completing the first lap here of many of this second race. And, well, AMs all stand together indeed, despite the odd incident that we've seen here and there. Pros, they got themselves away much better that time. Although, well, Monroe would argue not.
Yeah, Monroe just getting caught up there, and around he went, so unfortunately all the AMs missed out. This is what happens to David Biggerdike. He's caught that curb on the inside, that spun him round, and Greveson then on the exit of the right-hander at Seagrave as Roy Weller as well, another one who got caught out by that curb with cold tyres. He went round. That's what happened. That's the end of what happened to Adam Greveson in the race there, and he's dropped down. He's currently last in Am. He's caught that curb on the exit. You've got to be so careful, and it was actually Ben Sieber who caught up with him.
Yeah, so Chalcraft is absolutely laughing at the moment because he's just seen 2 of the big point scorers find themselves in unfortunate situations. There's Luke Andrews having an issue in the early stages there as well. But yeah, there's a lot to recap here as there's Ashley Toft having an impact with the Armco barrier with another car involved in that too. Yeah, a bit of a mess on the start here. A bit of a mess.
Yeah, a bit more untidy this race than the last one. 2 cars drifting, wanting the same piece of asphalt there. That's never going to work between Toft and I believe it was Jake Andrews who had that coming together. So those 2 carry on. And yeah, so you've got Andrews holding the middle, and the car on the left wanted that middle of the track. Andrews doesn't have to move anywhere. No. So Toft, you've got to run on the track. It wasn't squeezing him. You've got to run on the track where it is. And look at this. We're back at it at the front of the field.
Are we going to get 30 minutes of this now? That's the question, as there's Will Eatwell capitalising on a poor run from McAuliffe coming out the final corner. Absolutely level through the first corner, but Eatwell, I think he's got himself half a car length ahead, a full car length ahead. The door's still open, though, for McAuliffe in the braking zone. Down on towards the apex, a bit of a door barge between the 2 of them, going through more contact as McAuliffe slides. Eatwell, he's still holding a hold on to position. There's Edward Hope in the barrier getting caught up in that, tripped over them.
Oh my goodness, I tell you what, I think Race Control are going to have something to say about that after that one. I mean, fair credit to McAuliffe to keep going and recover from that. He's currently in 8th place right now. Yeah, we're going to have to look at dissect all of that because that got a bit close for comfort. There was a little bit of rubbing going into the complex, and well, 2 into 1 does not go through Cobb. Here we go. Here's the replay then. So up over the curb from McAuliffe, that just pushes him wide, and then well, again, he's on the curb. He's clipping those curbs and Edward Hope, wrong place, wrong time.
He was looking to be the hero trying to get through that, but unfortunately just gets clipped as McAuliffe rejoins. And yeah, that's a hard one to take there if you're Hope, because you just be, you saw the situation. It's like, ooh, they're slowing each other down. They made contact. I can get through to the racing. Oh, we can see him.
Yeah, here's the look. So Edward Hope, he's got very little time to react, and he went the one place that was open to him, because he couldn't stamp on the brakes or else he'd go straight to the side of him. Andrew Pike, what happened here with him and McAuliffe? Oh, now Ryan's got involved with Andrew. And that was only nose to rear, so there wasn't enough of an overlap there from Ryan for me, in my opinion. But of course, we just got one look at it. The stewards will get a lot of views on that. But I tell you what, it's a good job we're not at the circuit, because the Porsche hospitality bus, the office there, will be very, very busy with drivers going in and out of it if that was the case.
Indeed. It's sort of changed the complexion of this race a little bit, shaking up the front of the order. Yes, it is Ewell that leads by 0.3 of a second over Ryan Elliott this time around. In the number 66 finds himself in second place, and it's Aidan Carter on the final step of the podium at the moment. Meanwhile, further back through the field, you've got... oh my God.
You can see that coming a mile off on that bottom screen.
Caymans.
That was Yilmaz, and I believe it was Bigadike who was trying to make the recovery drive. Yes, it was, and 2 into 1 does not go. And Shiraz Khan says, "Cheers, thanks a lot. I'll be off."
Yeah, ice too big for the stomach, potentially. And there's a smoking car on pit lane. Not a great situation for Bigadike to be in. Retirement from this race, probably as a result of that. So I don't think they get any fast repairs, right?
They do. They get 1.
Okay.
It's really good. A series like this, for anyone who's new to iRacing, who've never seen iRacing, here's the look at it again. The gap wasn't there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, David. That just wasn't there at all. But in series like this, you have the opportunity to be able to say to the drivers, right, you take a tour back to the pit lane, which from that position is only going to be about a minute at most, and then you get a free instant repair. It's what's known as a fast repair. Get that done, and it encourages people to actually stay involved in the race and to try and recover whatever they can out of the race.
Absolutely. Look at the stack up in the AM category, though. Bottom ends of the top 10. But we'll get another look of obviously other happenings up and down the field here. Obviously the pro battle's still raging on, but looking at the very top of the order there in pro, Will Eatwell's 1.8, 1.9, now over 2 seconds back to Aidan Carter. Surely he's just not going to have a clear run now to the end, and then take any if there is any serious actions after the race, then that will be dealt with.
Aidan Carter holding on to that second place right now. There's Ryan McAuliffe, who's actually dropped another place in this race. Kieran Sharp's made his way past, so I think Ryan's had some further issues out there. He might be carrying a little bit of damage potentially. Oh no!
Lost his head a little bit, I think.
Yeah, that's never happening. Never in a month of Sundays. He's desperate. The Red Mist has descended. He's desperate to try and make his way back forward towards Will Eatwell, and yeah, his head's just gone, and he's gone for a move that was never on in a month of Sundays.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love a month of Sundays. It sounds great. Sunday note roast every day. But yeah, you're absolutely right there. It is one of those things. Yes. It's a frustrating situation, but you can't be changing your attitude towards other drivers as a result of that, because you want to try and get through, you want to try and push on. Yes, I know that situation, you want to recover, right? But it doesn't justify going for moves that just don't feasibly exist, and you just need the patience for it, and the patience has unfortunately been lost.
And the innocent party and all that was Jacob Jenner. So, you know, it's that's somebody who got involved on lap 1, I believe it was. Here's Shiraz Khan. I want to mention Shiraz Khan. It's his first season here in the championship. He didn't have the best of times at Donington Park. This second race, though, finds himself in 6th place. He's gained 11 places so far in this race. He is on a charge right now, and he's holding off Harley Byrne and David Haynes right now.
Yeah, looking for fantastic on the part of Khan at the moment. He's I echo your thoughts about Donington Park, and maybe struggled a little bit there, but here at Thruxton, looking much better. Incident in race 1 notwithstanding, as Khan wheel-to-wheel battle there as Harley Byrne tries to work his way through, but unsuccessful in that instance. And now Haynes is looking to capitalize on it.
Aidan Carter! That's Aidan Carter! He was in 2nd place! Oh! Ned! Oh, nowhere to go! Yeah, Ned Wharton. Oh, Shiraz Khan's around! It's curse of the commentator.
Thankfully, there's no barriers on the inside there. It's just a whole bunch of... oh, careful with the rejoin! No! Oh! That one's probably one of the worst I've ever seen.
Oh, no! You've got leaders coming through. Oh! It is so difficult when you're at this level. It is so difficult when you're new to a series, and yeah, I'll take some of the blame. That's a bit of the curse of the commentator right there.
We had like it came in 3s, right? That's the situation. As my word, I just had to recalibrate my view of the race at this point, because we had Carter drop out of the top contenders for Pro, so it's Oliver Stone now that's in 3rd place there, and we've had a shuffle in Pro. The lap traffic being a massive effect here at the moment. We had the Khan incident as well. Wow, a lot's happened over the last 10 seconds.
I think what you've witnessed there is the purest strain of commentator's curse right there. That is straight off the boat from Colombia. Oh, there's a pro car around. George Tyler, I believe it was, made contact, and Ryan McAuliffe is going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, McAuliffe trying to work his way through. He's up to 6th place now. Sharp and Tyler having a bit of a fight in behind as well. Bit of a flash of the lights there on the part of Sharp, as Luke Andrews on the back of him now. Here's Roy. What happened to Roy Weller in the 133? Yeah, that's a door that was always going to be closing, I'm afraid.
Do drivers realise that, you know, that there are stewards watching this race? Oh, that's what happened to Carter. So it was Weller who was trying to recover back to the pits. He's driven across the track at 90 degrees. You said you'd seen the worst rejoin, Connery. I would like to raise you, possibly this one. He's in the middle of the track. Where do you go if you're Aidan Carter? There's nowhere to go.
You can't go anywhere. You just can't go anywhere.
And Carter's car is... Yeah, it's done.
At that point, also, it's out of the final corner. You can't really realistically get back to the pits there. You have to drive backwards around the track to get back to the pits there. You might as well just take the tow at that point, because you never get back around in any fast fashion. Here's Khan with... that one's particularly bad, though. Yeah. Which one's the worst one out of those two? I'll leave it to the chat, Nick.
It was looking so good, and then... Oh, yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, I'm glad I'm not the series organisers.
We had such a good first race as well. The start notwithstanding, but we had a good first.
I think a book will be getting thrown about, and that'll be the big thick rule book, the blue book as it used to be. I don't know if it's still actually known as the blue book now in Motorsport UK, but yeah, that'll be getting thrown at people.
Well, wasn't there like an F3 or an F4 race at Monza a good couple of years ago where they just flat out abandoned the race because the drivers were so bad?
And do you know who was racing in that? George Russell, there was Lance Stroll, there was, I think it was Charles Leclerc was in that race as well. It was 4 races, it was planned 4 races, and after the 3rd race, they just went, do you know what, we're not having the 4th race, you can't be trusted.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is at that level, but yeah, there's been a lot of issues up and down the field. So it's going to be a very busy stewards room. Race control are going to be yeah, working late onto the night probably, trying to sort out everything that has happened. Out of this though, like, we got to bring a silver lining to the cloud, right? We got a. It says battle for 14th, but it's between. But we've got Ben Sharpcraft, then 2/10 of a second behind. We've got Jordan, and then another couple of tenths we got Chase. So this is a battle for the lead at AM with 3 cars.
This is great, isn't it? It's fantastic. Ben Sharpcraft, who had a bit of an easier race in that first race, he got about a 6-second lead at one point. Well, he's under intense pressure from Matthew Jordan right now. Carl Chase has just dropped off a little bit through the complex there, as we've got battling in Pro, Gordon Russell and Ben Smith switching places through Allard. Not a typical overtaking spot, but it's not unheard of either at that one. Ryan McAuliffe now up to 4th place, so a bit of a recovery drive from him.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, still, you know, despite the many many spins, many incidents that we've had up and down the field, there's still stuff to talk about. You know, with that battle for the lead in AM, Sharpcraft having his first. A bit of on-track action all day, it kind of feels like here, as he sort of waltzed away a little bit for the race win in race number 1. But in race number 2, he has company. Matthew Jordan in the bright green Cayman in behind, doing his best job to give him an honest challenge.
So are we going to get a second race win of the day for Ben Sharpcraft, or is it going to be a first race win for Matthew Jordan? We've got switcher positions there. McAuliffe's up to 3rd place now, overtaking Oliver Stone. Ryan Elliott has had a bank holiday Monday queue of traffic behind him right here. Stone, there you see Oliver behind the wheel, and going for the very sort of GT style seat there with the wraparound top to it. Will Eatwell, by the way, 12 seconds is his lead right now.
Yeah. There's no stopping Will Eatwell at the moment in normal circumstances. Let's just say that. Although, obviously, we've got the battle for P2 potentially between Elliott and McAuliffe to look forward to in that pro category. And then a P2 would be a fantastic recovery for McAuliffe in this race, considering it was looking at, like, what, P6, P7 at one point.
Oh my goodness, that's Sharpcraft on your race leader, Will Eatwell. Here's the thing with those GT4s, they've got ABS brakes. The Cup cars don't, and here's the AM lead. Jordan to the inside.
Jordan is going to get it done coming up through the first sector. It's still a run up the hill slightly in towards Campbell. Sharpcraft having to take the outside here. Jordan deep on the inside. Is he too deep? No, he isn't. He's got to link up the second apex of the corner, though, as Sharpcraft will try and come back at him, coming through the exit of Seagrave. But is there still an overlap there? No, there isn't. Matthew Jordan is through to the race lead in the AM category, bringing that green Cayman up to the pointy end of the field. Fantastic stuff.
This is a day to score yourself some good championship points, because Adam Greaveson in AM is down in 14th right now. He's been on pit road, so he's had to have a pit stop, has Adam. And yeah, if ever there was an opportunity, remember, it's only 5 weeks is this championship. That's 10 races. It's not very many opportunities to score points in the championship if you're going to have an assault on that championship. And Sharpcraft is coming back at Jordan here.
Yep, indeed he is. It's not done yet for the AM race lead. Let's just say that, as B12 down at the bottom. We've got McAuliffe through up into 2nd place now. That will happen very quickly for Ryan McAuliffe. 2nd place, probably the best he can hope for at this point. It's a 10-second gap all the way up to Will Eatwell, as down the inside goes Carl Chase on Chalford. So Chalford's not done with the defending just yet. He has Chase all over the back of him, as Chase will get the good exit. Coming off the corner, a slightly better line to carry the momentum, and it brings him up into 2nd. Sharpcraft fighting with all his might, but he loses ground and loses track position. And there's a pro driver coming through to try and disrupt this as well.
It's McAuliffe. St Ryan is coming through here with that battle for third place of Elliott and Oliver Stone. So the battle for second place in AM is getting disrupted by the battle for third place in Pro. And here's what happened to Jake Andrews. Oh, that's into Byrne. Harley Byrne, huge crash into the Armco.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those that makes you worry if it was a real-world incident, but thankfully we're in the simulator as Edward Hope continuing to try and work his way through the field, goes out very wide out into the grass, coming out of the club chicane, able to keep it well out of the Armco barrier though, but yeah, still unfortunate. Meanwhile, battle going on ahead. This is George Tyler and Gordon Marshall as well, getting all choked up a little bit behind the Cayman.
Ben Smith involved in that, the battle between Sharp and Hope as well. Yeah, so battles in the pointy end of Pro and pointy end of AM all getting mixed up here, and in fact Matthew Jordan's been able to pull out a little bit of a gap. Kieran Sharp getting caught up there with Ben Chalcraft. Oh, it's all going a bit wrong for Ben here.
Yeah, impeccable performance in race number 1. Challenged a lot more though in race 2, and of course the you know, that's just how it swings sometimes. I suppose the battle's still raging on here between Ben Smith, Marshall, Hope coming through as well. Deep on the inside goes Hope. Somehow he gets it stopped. Big cut of the second apex. Has to be careful about that. Here comes the run from Smith coming out of the corner. Might be able to get this one done. Does get it done by the time turn number 1 arrives, and there's a car coming out the pits there as well. Wow.
Edward Hope was never getting that car stopped in time for the chicane. I mean, he did well considering, but he did collect that GT4, the AM car. Here's Ben Sieber then, and oh dear, that's into the wall there. And that Armco it is unforgiving. Here's Andrew Pike. What's happened to him after what had happened earlier on in the race? Into the chicane, contact, nerfed around, and facing the wrong way. Gives it a boot full of throttle and gets back up and running. But still, Edward Hope not able to get past Ben Smith here. But that's a nice cutback through Church.
Indeed it is. Hope really gaining some ground at this point. Can he can he execute though? Are they on the brakes down the inside at the chicane and gets it done? So that's Hope back up in towards 7th place and looking to charge further down the field. I mean, Marshall is still there, still within sight, and you know, Tyler's within touching distance as well. So potential for progression forward for these drivers, but we'll just have to wait to see what the reality is. In terms of the update for the AM leading trio, Trollcraft has lost a lot of time, and I mean a lot of time, compared to the leading 2 here at the moment. It's 3 seconds between Trollcraft and the leader. Jordan trying to establish that second gap back to Carl Chase now as well.
Black flag for Shiraz Khan for instant point infringement, so he's reached the 20 limit here. 20 instants for a 30-minute race is actually quite generous in my opinion, and I have a suspicion that that's when he actually got it. Oh, that's another incident. To be fair, I think he got pushed from behind in the braking zone, which would have forced him a bit deep there, and oh, that's a mistake there from Marshall. This gives Edward Hope.
It does. We're around the outside now as well, trying to get this move completed. Big commitment around here. Careful with the track exit, as the one on the inside likes to drift out a little bit. And here comes Ben Smith as well to try to capitalize on these two going side by side. Ben Smith gets himself to the inside. I hope becomes the outside for the next apex though at Cobb. Big switch around now as we get into towards Seagrave. Smith again trying to harass the back of Hope, but again gets the door shut, gets the nose cut off as they head their way through Noble and now in through Goodwood as well.
Great stuff. again, Thruxton, it gives us some great entertainment, and okay, it's not for the overall race lead, okay, it's not for the AM lead, although that's pretty close in the AM category, but certainly inside your top 6, this is the battle for 6th place. Marshall, Hope, Smith, Sharp, all together as they go up the hill into the club chicane, and Hope this time gets the car stopped.
He does, learning from his mistakes and able to get the clean pass done through the chicane there. Here's the onboard with the driver right on the back of this chain. This is Kieran Sharp, who obviously had that big incident in race number 1, big recovery to try and get further up the field in race number 2. P9 at the moment, pretty good going, but certainly the opportunity for more with 4.5 minutes left remaining in this race.
Yeah, this is intense stuff. It's almost like they're going camping, it's that intense. As they go through, Noble. No reaction? Okay. As we carry on, the AM lead, by the way, there's less than half a second between the two of those. So Carl Chase has really got onto the back of Matthew Jordan at the front of AM, and is giving it his all. So we're on to possibly a 3rd race winner in AM.
Yeah, and if you said that at the end of the first race being at Donington, that would have been what happened to Graveston then? Well, what has happened to Graveston? He's all the way down the field, P9 at this moment in time. Meanwhile, Smith trying to go around the outside of Marshall in through turn number 1 there. Marshall trying to make that car as wide as possible, as we have the battle at the bottom of the screen for the race lead in the AM category as well. Lots of places to look at. So this battle for P7 in Pro at the top rages on.
Better run from Jordan in that AM battle, so he's got a little bit of a respite right now, but still Marshall trying to hang on to 7th place. Now Edward Hope is running away from this battle. This gives Hope a bit of a chance to get away, but Marshall doing his best to hold on to this place in 7th right now.
Yeah, really putting on a good defense here, trying to do his best McAuliffe impression from the first race, except this is the battle for 7th instead, as they go side by side once again, late braking in towards the next corner. Perhaps that will give Ben Smith the advantage, but no, he does not quite get it, does not quite get the line through at least the start of the corner, but gets a very good exit instead. Can he leverage this though in towards the first sector? The braking is on into Campbell, the next big opportunity to try and get yourself through, but he has to be careful behind as well, because we got Kieran Sharp, we got Luke Andrews all there ready and waiting to pick up the pieces just in case this all goes wrong.
Certainly are, and they're sniffing, they can smell a possible couple of positions to come here as a 2-minute warning, as we've got 2 minutes remaining in this race. Overall race leader is just coming up to the club chicane, so we'll get 2 more laps at the end of this lap. So these 4 are still, or these 3, well 4 actually, yes, are still absolutely neck and neck, and they're going to keep the pressure on. Overall race lead, it's still 11.5 seconds, so will he, well, he just needs to keep it on the grey stuff.
Really does, as Lucan Monroe having to through the final chicane, a really tricky place and a really dangerous place to be stopped as well, but is able to get that car spun back around. There is traffic coming, but no dramas whatsoever for Monroe on the rejoin at least. But we've got 1 minute 10 left in this race. Here's the onboard with Gordon Marshall. We again have to keep a conscious thought around that battle for AM race lead as well. It's within 0.2 of a second now, as Ben Smith, he's gone so wide, very wide indeed, and now the other drivers are able to pick up the positions there.
Yeah, that was Sharp going through, and now losing the place to Luke Andrews as well as Ben Smith, and yeah, got caught out there with that traffic, with that GT4 AM traffic, and well, Smith loses out 2 places there.
Yep, it does. Big mistake coming through the first sector there, and well, we've only got 30 seconds left on the clock then. It's all depending on where Will Wheatwell is, but again, Ben Smith now sitting up behind Luke Andrews. Smith in 10th place. Battle for AM race lead still very close. Matthew Jordan and Carl Chase, 1.5 to 2/10 of a second, fluctuating in and out as these guys head their way through the final chicane to start their final lap in this pro order.
I can tell you the race leader's at Noble, so this is the last lap of the race, and look at how close this is in your pros. It's close in your AMs as well. That overall race leading AM is pretty tight as there's a move down the inside there of Kieran Sharp. Oh, they'll be hoping no contact. Ben Smith trying to take advantage. No, as on the bottom of your screen there, Matthew Jordan taking the defensive line. Carl Chase trying to get the run out of the chicane. They've got one more lap to go as they go across the line, absolutely neck and neck. And we've got Kieran Sharp around on the top of your screen. Meanwhile, your race leader, Will Eatwell, is there to take the flag.
Eatwell takes the race win by 12 seconds here in race number 2 of the Porsche Esports Challenge at Thruxton. It's race 4 in total with our second race meeting here. There's still big questions though over the AM category. It is Carl Chase that is the race leader there now as well. Big instant in pros. Ryan Elliott in the wall in the very, very last moment. He drops down the order. George Tyler will take P3 when all is said and done. This is crazy, crazy stuff. But Carl Chase, he got the move done. He loses some ground though in the last couple of moments. 2/10 of a second between the two AM leaders as they wind themselves through these right-handers now. It's been a crazy, crazy finish in both races here today at Thruxton through Church. For the final time, I think Chase has enough of an advantage at this point. He just needs to be clean through the final chicane, the final sector, and he should be another different race winner here in the AM category. Jordan tries to bring it close. Jordan tries to file himself through. It's going to be a sprint to the line, but it's not enough distance for Jordan to do anything, as it's Carl Chase that takes the race win in AM.
Absolutely sensational stuff there for the AM lead right at the end there. And Carl Chase, he took the lead on the lap that matters, the last lap. He took it right at the start of the last lap and then holds on to that one. Brilliant stuff to watch there. Absolutely sensational. And, well, we had a bit of shenanigans, a bit of untidiness, shall we say, in this race. Here's what happened to Elliott then. So Ryan Elliott, contact then, side-to-side contact with George Tyler was that. Around he goes, and that drops him down a few places at the very death of this race here, Connery.
Sorry, I'm losing my voice slightly. As it's Will Eatwell that takes the race win here. Of course, this is pending stewards review because again, the stewards will have a look at all the incidents, have a look at all the protests and see if there's any penalties that need to be applied. It's Will Eatwell taking the race win by 12 seconds, but that might be eaten into depending on if any penalties go his way. Then we've got Ryan McAuliffe recovering up into a P2. Fantastic stuff, but again, he might be under investigation as well due to some of the incidents that happened between traffic and other pro drivers as he was working to work his way through. George Tyler with a P3 right at the dying moments with Oliver Stone in P4, Edward Hope P5 with Ryan Elliott in P6, Gordon Marshall P7 with Ben Smith in 8th, Kieran Sharp 9th and Dave Martin 10th. Needless to say, these results are very provisional at the moment, with Luke Andrews in 11th, with Andrew Pike in 12th, Luke Monroe 13th, Aidan Carter 14th, Ned Worton 15th and Lewis Benny in 16th place. It is Carl Chase that takes the race win by 1.5 of a second after a last lap pass on Matthew Jordan. Rounding out the podium is Ben Chalcraft, who was strong in the first race, was pretty strong in this race as well, but wasn't able to deal with the challenges from behind. Then we got Jonathan Ogden with a respectable P4 finish with Jamie Bardwell in P5. Then got David Haynes in P16 with Gabriel Limglas in P7. Then P8 goes to James Fremont. Adam Graveson in P9, which is a lot of lost points for one of our strong contenders there. We had P10 goes to Ashley Toft. Then it's Ben Sieber in P11. Jacob Jenner, P12, Jake Andrews, P13, Harley Byrne, Sheraz Khan, Matthew Clark, Roy Weller, and David Biggerdike round out the 18-car finishing results for your AM category. But wow, this is a look back to some of the incidents that happened in the final couple of moments there. Luke Andrews getting into a bit of a tangle with Ben Smith. Unable to get himself back on circuit there, despite, well, having some wounds, I suppose. And then, yeah, we had that situation through the chicane with the podium sitters in, rather the battle for P3 in the pro category as well. I was focused on the battle for the race lead in Am. Didn't quite catch exactly all the details there, at least on my point of view. But yeah, what a crazy end! What a crazy end!
Absolutely sensational madness, and well, if you want entertainment, then the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain is where you get it. We are going to speak to a couple of our drivers here in this one, so let's hopefully get a word with our race winner for round number 4 of the championship, Will Eatwell. And Will, you were a little bit disappointed with what happened in race 1. Race 2 tonight, though, it does go your way, but I'm sure it's a little bit of physicality that you would have preferred not to have had happen there today.
Yeah, I don't want to be involved in any incidents like that. I wasn't trying to make any aggressive contact. I was just trying to hold it tight. I think it's just a racing incident, but we'll see what. I'm sure Ryan or the stewards may have another opinion, but yeah, I just needed to get my concentration back after that, which took me a few laps, and then get my head down.
And you did that certainly well. You really pushed on and got the lead gap up throughout the race. But how hard is it to be able to, during a race, have an instant like that happen and just have to switch off? You said it took a couple of laps. Just switch off and just say, right, I've got to focus forward.
Yeah, especially on a track like this where you've really got to be confident in your turn-in points and your braking points. You just got to just say, look, what happens after the race happens. Let's just try and get a good, just not make it worse. Just try and keep it on the track and put some good laps in. I think I got a decent gap at the end, so hopefully that helps me if there is a penalty. But yeah, as I said, I think it's just a racing incident.
Well, still, it's a second and first place once again for you. A repeat of the results from last week. The only difference being that you got pole position this week. So next week, then, the rat race doesn't end for you, does it? We head on to another round next week. I mean, what are your thoughts going into next week's races?
Don't remember off the top of my head what track it is, but just more of the same, really.
I was hoping you would, to be honest.
I think it's Silverstone, Silverstone or Oulton. Try more of the same. Try and get decent quality pole position again, get those bonus points in, and then, well, yeah, have a cleaner race, really. More of what we had in race 1.
Yeah, it's Silverstone, so a big wide track for people to run at. Well, still, congratulations and well done on a podium and a race win here today.
Thank you very much.
That's pro race winner Will Eatwell. We'll get to speak to the man who finished in second place in that race. And Ryan, I mean, we've spoken to Will. He thinks it was maybe a little bit of a racing incident between the two of you. What was your perspective on that?
Well, I don't think it was a racing incident. Through the first apex, obviously I went a little bit wide. I still gave him loads of room, still a car's width, still everything there, and I was still turning right for the next corner to give him space, obviously, to come back on. And if you go over like the replay or whatever, he keeps turning right into me, so that's what causes the first bit of contact. And then I leave at least a car width to 2 car widths at the second apex, and you watch the video and he just completely drives straight on, uses the whole track, and then just takes me out. So it's a bit annoying because it's obviously down to us for the championship at the minute, I think. Obviously, I think who's going to win the championship is whoever gets the most wins, because it's either me or him, P1 or P2. So that kind of got on my nerves a little bit, but it's okay. We'll just go to the next round and see what happens.
But you then showed, to look at the positive side of things here, you then showed a tremendous charging drive through the field then to recover from, you were basically in the bottom of the top 10 through to second place. You must be happy with how you were then able to progress forward.
Oh mate, 100%. I'm happy with, like, obviously how the race went. I was driving quite well. I was keeping it quite respectful with the GT4s as well. I wasn't trying to make any rash moves like I was in the first race. Obviously, I didn't have much to lose this race. However, I did get caught up in a little incident with another GT4. I don't think there was anyone to blame. It just was like he checked up quite a bit and I had to get off the brake and try and avoid him. Otherwise, I would have locked up and hit him. But other than that, mate, I'm happy with that race. And yeah, it was decent.
Well, I'm sure we'll be getting to see and speak to you plenty of times for the rest of the season. Silverstone next, all the best for that, and congratulations on a good recovery podium in the end.
Lovely, thank you very much.
There we go. That was Ryan McCullough, who finished second place in Pro. We haven't got George Tyler here, unfortunately, so we'll move to Am and Carl Chase, because Carl, well, congratulations, Carl. It is your first win of the season here. You're the third different AM winner, but I tell you what, you had to work for that one, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I really had to work hard for that. I'm still sweating now, to be honest.
I mean, it's the most important lap to be leading on, the last lap. Just talk us through that, because you were putting the pressure on in those last few laps on Matthew Jordan all the way through.
To be honest, there wasn't really much of a strategy. It was literally just put as much pressure as possible, make sure that he's not focusing on the road ahead, more on me. And yeah, it just happened to work and going out of the last corner into the first.
Absolutely, and it was a great way to then hold on to the win. And looking forward then, next week, it's only a week turnaround. Silverstone, how are you feeling going into that race?
I'm feeling good, to be honest. That's one of my favourite tracks, so I'm hoping I can really entertain everyone again.
Well, like I say, congratulations. First win of the season. Carl Chase, go away and enjoy this one.
Thank you.
There we go. That's Carl Chase, and joining us in second place in AM, Matthew Jordan. Matthew, it was so close, but just that one lap too long a race, wasn't it?
I know, yeah, very frustrating. I made a slight mistake on the penultimate lap into the last corner. And then got a bad run out onto the start-finish straight, and yeah, Carl just managed to get me around the outside. Very frustrating, but he was putting me under a lot of pressure. But I'll take P2, an improvement on last week.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You know, you look at how things have gone this season so far. You've had some good results then this week. Looking forward, Silverstone then, we've heard from Carl, he's happy with it. It's one of his favourite tracks. What are your thoughts going into Silverstone?
I also really like Silverstone. I think I'll go well there. We'll find out next week, but hoping to stay on the podium, just be consistent really. I think I've got 2 P4s, 1 P3, 1 P2, so hopefully P1 next week.
Well, all the best for that one, Matt, and enjoy another podium here today.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
So that was our second placed AM driver of Matthew Jordan, and third place, hopefully we'll get to speak to him, Ben Chalcraft. I mean, you got the result in race 1, you've got another podium here today in race number 2. You're making quite a habit of coming speak to us, aren't you, Ben?
It's becoming a bit of a habit, yeah. You'll be bored of me, you'll be leaving me out no matter what I do next week. Yeah, another pretty good race there. Maybe just, I think the other guys had got up to speed a little bit more, and I got ambushed by a horde of Porsche Cups and lost a bunch of time there. But Matt was so close during the first half of the race. I think any closer it needed a rubber glove. So yeah, I thought he was gonna scoot off, but it looked like Kyle did him in the last few laps. So congrats to Kyle.
But you look at it as a whole, though, again, start of the championship here, you've had 2 second places, a win and a third place. That's a good, solid start to your championship assault here, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Hopefully it does stay that way. But, you know, who knows? Rain could come. It needs just one guy to lock his brakes, or a Porsche, you know, one of the Porsche Cups to have a little misjudgment and a race is gone. So just keep grabbing every point that I can, keep putting in the lap times, and hopefully keep picking up these high positions.
Well, all the best for next week at Silverstone, and congratulations on the results today.
Great, thanks very much, guys.
There we go, that's Ben Childcraft. And we're just going to quickly grab somebody who's been patiently waiting. He was waiting between the first races, the second race, and here today. Luca Monroe is joining us, and it's fair to say that this pro class is so intense. Just explain to us how difficult it is to manage these cars with no ABS and no traction control.
It's an uphill struggle, especially for me. I'm definitely not on the pace of everyone else, but it's a very fulfilling car to drive. I know I could probably do quite well in the GT4 class instead of struggling where I am in the Porsche Cups, but I'm much happier. I say that with a bitter face, but I am genuinely enjoying driving the car, even if I'm miles away from the competition. I had a really good battle in that first race with Ned once again. I don't know if you guys picked that up, but yeah, it's especially with the whole like you say there, the braking. I've recently had to change my in-game braking inputs, like values. And it's kind of at the worst possible time, because the Porsche Cup, it was tricky to drive even with the old brake input values I had. So I'm not expecting to do that well this season, especially considering how high level the pro drivers really are.
Well, Luca, it's good to speak to you. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so we'll let you go. But thank you so much for joining us here, Luca.
Thank you.
There we go, Connery, getting to speak to a lot of our drivers here today, and yeah, certainly enjoyable one nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. It was action-packed. Well, both races, of course. With the second race, we had those issues at the start, so maybe you could see there's a little bit of negative view, at least for the start of that. But then it really grew into its own towards the end with a lot of action, and it's caused me to lose my voice. For those that don't know, in my day job, I'm a teacher. I need this voice tomorrow to shout at students, so I don't know what I'm going to do really. But yeah, it's it's up the championships quite nicely. I mean, we have this sort of duopoly going on in the pro order between Eatwell and McAuliffe, but now Am is kind of pretty open. You have to argue, so that would be very intriguing going forward in the middle part of this season. But of course, next week we are going to Silverstone, which is similarly fast in terms of a circuit, in terms of your top speeds. But obviously you get a little bit more real estate, I suppose, to work in compared to here.
You certainly do. Nice wide track. It's a Grand Prix venue as well, so plenty of space for these cars to run around in, and plenty of runoff as well, big runoff areas for the drivers to go into if they do have any issues out there. But yeah, this series, it doesn't stop. It's just one round after the other, a thick and fast action, and certainly we've been getting plenty of it this week.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us for this particular race meeting of the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain. We had races 3 and 4 here this evening, but we'll be at the same time in the same places next week as the Porsche Esports Sprint Challenge Great Britain heads to the home of British motorsport. It heads to Silverstone. We'll join you there.